Hello everybody, this is Dr. Wholesale coming to you today with Wholesaling 101 and another tip. And today's tip is about approaching sellers in need of selling in an all-cash offer. So once you use some of the methods I gave you in other videos and you start getting your phone to ring, you need to talk with the sellers. Remember, you're looking for a motivated seller, not someone trying to sell you their home for retail price. These are people that have to sell their home. They must sell their home. So I'm going to talk about how to pre-screen the sellers and find the deals that can make you money. Right? And you have to go through some basic steps to find out if the sellers have a need or a want. In some of my other videos, we talked about motivated sellers have a need to sell their home. So you may be returning a call to a potential seller from one of your lead generation methods you use in the previous videos, or the answering or answering the phone as these potential sellers start to call you. So your job as a wholesaler is to determine if the motivation is a need or a want. The purpose of the initial contact is actually a fact-finding mission, not necessarily to buy a house. If you can do, I say buy it. First, you'll be getting information about the property, and second, you'll be determining the potential seller's motivation level. I try not to get into negotiations with the potential seller over the phone. There are some real estate gurus that preach this, but my preference is I can negotiate and get the price I need to buy better in person. So I want to try to get this person into their home or something like that if I can. This is not to say negotiations cannot be done on the phone. Just see what works for you and refine your particular process. Here's a couple of suggestions I use. For your answer message, leave a greeting in your voice or have somebody record it for you. You don't need to give the company name, but it sounds more personable if you do, and will make the potential seller feel like he has got a hold of some person, somebody. Most of the time I use a script. Basically it's this script. Hello, you've reached, I'll just say 555-555-5555. You reach my number. Please leave your name and number and I'll return your call as soon as I can. Thank you. So it can be as simple as that. It's safe to say there is more motivation at this stage, or the potential seller would not have contacted you in the first place. Now it's your job to determine their motivation. It could be these sellers are just shopping around and trying to figure out what they get for the property, or they may not actually need to sell. So how do you determine this potential seller's motivation? By asking the seller some questions and filling out a seller's lead sheet. And you can find a seller's lead sheet. It's going to be available on my website. Well, I'll give you that in just a few minutes. All right. So once you have your lead sheet, you're going to fill everything out, start collecting information in the house. What is your next step? Well, the next step is that you need to screen the seller. This is where you're going to look at screening the seller. You need to become good at screening sellers, or you will spend your time and money driving around and looking at homes you have no reason to look at. And for us, time is money, so we don't want to waste that time. I don't know how many wasted hours, and not counting running up the credit card charges, putting gas in my car, looking at the wrong houses I did because I didn't qualify the seller. So you need to get that right off the bat. So because of it, I developed a few questions that I can quickly tell if I need to pursue this property or refer this property for a bird dog fee. And I'll give those to you now. First is fact-finding question number 1. You need to get general information about the property. So using your lead sheet, you first start with some general questions about the property. I find it's better to get a description of the property from the seller instead of starting off with how much you want for it. So I like to get the sellers talking, and the more the sellers talk, especially about their property, the more comfortable they become with you. And you want them to be comfortable with you because a lot of people are calling them. So what we are doing is building a relationship with these sellers, not the kind of relationship where we are long lost buddies, but a comfortable business relationship. So when talking with the potential seller, I always have a property information sheet in front of me, and I fill it out throughout our conversation. Okay. Now, number 2, bear with me, I'm going through my notes I have here, is determining the seller's motivation. So our goal is to have the seller do most of the talking at this stage. People love to talk, especially about themselves for their priority, or their property. So these sellers may tell you their property is the best on the block and needs no repairs. The reality is it's the worst house on the street and needs all kind of repairs, and that's just the way it works. By asking the following questions, but you will get to the facts faster, and most of all, you will be able to determine the seller's motivation very quickly. You don't want to offend the seller. You're trying to build a business relationship with them, or what I call common ground. So letting the sellers talk will make it easier to find a commonality between the two of you. All right. So you're going to ask the questions like, let's say Bob. Bob, it sounds like you have a nice home there with a tenant who's taking care of the place and you're making a monthly income from it. I'm curious, why do you want to sell it? So you want to ask them, why do you want to sell the property? And they're going to tell you why they want to sell. Okay. Then you say something like, have you thought about listening again with another real estate agent? Okay. Person's going to answer that. Once again, you're looking for his motivation. Okay. You talk about, have you called any other investors? Or have any other investors call you? If you're interested in property, Bob, I'm definitely interested in the property. When can I come out and see it? And you get their answer for that. And you see when you can come out and see it. And once you're done, you ask them, are you the only one? This is very important. Are you the only one who has authority to sell this home? Hopefully they'll say yes. And they might say yes. Why? They say, because if we come to an agreement, I'd like to get all the required signatures when we complete the paperwork. This will save us both time and help us close faster. Because when you go out and get the deal, you want to actually be there to get the deal. So you want to have all the parties who have to sign there to sign the document, and then you can move on from there. So next you got to understand the seller's needs. So we're going to analyze what their needs are. And basically you listen to what they said, and then once they give you the information, you're able to determine what exactly they need. It might not be money right now. It might be college. It might be money for college. It might be money down the road. But you have to determine that, because you have to get the details from this particular person and analyze it, and that'll give you an idea of how you want to put together your terms for the particular property you're trying to buy. Okay. So a lot of investors make the mistake of confusing the sellers on the phone and come off as amateurs for trying to work out the price or financing on the spot. There's still some questions that need to be answered, but this should be done in person. Just looking at the property and watching the seller's body language will tell you a lot. You could have asked more questions about his parents, the tenants, even the neighborhood, but I like the face-to-face interaction. I find it more personable, and the more commonality I build up with the seller, the easier it is to get the deal done. Okay. Another thing I forgot is that if there's any mortgage on the property. The reason for this is because we're going to wholesale it for a quick profit. And if there's a mortgage on it, this will be determined. This is going to determine who we flip it to, right? So one of the unique strategies of my system is that we always have to have an extra strategy for doing our quick flips for cash. And usually I have 3 extra strategies, which I'll get into in another video. So we'll get, like I said, I get into this more later. But you should have a general feel for the information needed in order to make the decision on whether or not you want to pursue the property. So feel free to add your own personality, such as your tonality for the way you speak. Maybe you want to be more business formal and straight to the point, or you may want to spend more time on the phone asking questions and getting a better feel for the property. Here's the thing you have to remember. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. Just do what's best for you. And more important, just get out there and do something. All right? So that's it for today. This is Dr. Wholesale coming to you with Wholesaling 101 and trying to figure out the seller's motivation. You all get out there, get some deals done, and I'll talk to you on the next video.